Well, good afternoon. I'm Pastor Howard Buchholz, and I'm at Immanuel Lutheran Church here in town. I've been here for 4 years, and thank you for coming. It's good to see so many folks here, and thanks Seattle also for hosting us in their museum here. I would like to just go over a little bit of the history of our congregation and a few things that I thought were rather remarkable. Our congregation just only a few weeks ago invited our bishop, and we celebrated our 125th anniversary. We're very proud to be able to do that. Our first pastor was Pastor Jacobson. Parents were creative, weren't they? But the thing is that he was born around the war time of 1812. It said he came to Marseilles in his 70s. Help get the congregation started, which I think was remarkable at that time. It said that for the first 2 years the congregation met at the German Lutheran Church, and I'm not quite certain where that would have been located here in town. Now, I'm certain that many of you know where Immanuel Lutheran is, just over here about a block away. And across the street there's an old building, unfortunately it burned down about a year and a half ago. And that building was Lutheran Church for, it says here, 60 years. In the Catholic Church, you might find it interesting, if you're from the Catholic Church, is that it says here that it was actually the former Catholic Church that the Lutherans bought from the Catholics, which I find interesting. And then, for the longest time, our church shared a pastor until 1944 with, if I'm saying it right, Stavanger, is that correct? Stavanger Lutheran Church, which is north of Seneca. And in 1944, they called our first full-time pastor, Paul Watson. Now the church, check it out, grew that space, and it says that in 1958, Pastor Elmer Johnson helped the congregation pass a resolution that they built their first new building, I guess you'd say. And there's a remarkable little story here. It shows you what pastor leadership can do. It said that the decision was made in 58, and then by 1962, they had a new pastor, Pastor Goodsell, who came here, and in 62 they moved into our current building. But it said that the church had some disagreement. They couldn't decide where they were going to build it. So he said what the pastor did was, he said instead of listening to the church gripe about this, he just walked around and said, right here, this is a good place. And that's where they built the church. So I think that's interesting. Let's see here. Perhaps many of you know Pastor Buchholz was here for over 25 years as the pastor, and in 1992 he helped the church celebrate its 100th anniversary. A couple of remarks here I'd like to also add. There were a couple of tragedies that happened in our community. I was told that I think it was in the 1940s that the United Church of Christ over here actually had a fire, and that you guys just happened to just move across the street and worshiped in our building for a while until you repaired yours. And then during the flood that happened here a few years ago, we were able to host the Catholic Church. They were able to worship in our building for a little while until you could get back into your own. And the other thing that I find fascinating about this congregation is it's the only church I've ever seen that actually owns a farm. We do. We have a 50-acre farm that is north of here on the corner up by Interstate 80. And there was a dear lady named Joanna Monson. Did anyone ever know Joanna Monson? Munson. Okay, so I'm not written here correctly. But the thing is that we actually have a 2/3 interest in that farm, and 1/3 of it is with the Pleasant View Nursing Home. And Joanna Munson is the lady that, at her passing, donated this farm to the church. And I have a little note here I wanted to read to you that she had attended back in the year 1971. She had attended the annual meeting of the Pleasant View Nursing Home in Ottawa. this just kind of floors me. It says here that a new law was passed in Illinois, and that effective July the 1st of 1971, anyone who administered a nursing home would have to become licensed. I find that interesting. So the man went to Chicago, and for $50 took his examination and became an official administrator. What I wanted to note to you here is, did anyone guess what was it, 71, about 47 years ago, what do you think it cost to be in a nursing home per day? $9.20 a day. Okay. And I want to conclude, let's say that one of the things our church has always been good at, and we still are good at, is we are a very singing church. I tell you, I've been in congregations that couldn't sing a note, and everybody in this church knows how to sing. And we have an active vacation Bible school that's just happening. So if you know some little children, they certainly might enjoy it this week. We start up tomorrow. But anyway, thank you so much.